So I hope everybody can hear me. I mean, obviously those who are here in the classroom, but also on Zoom. We have discussed in the previous shloka that even if Arjuna had accepted that that soul is the body itself, and it is always being born and always going to die, still there was no cause of lamentation, because body anyhow is going to get finished. So now the Lord is very interestingly putting it that since the death and birth is inevitable means which you cannot counteract, so one should not lament in the course of performance of his duty in dharma. Because anyhow, anybody who has taken birth will surely die. You cannot avoid that death. So one should not, since it cannot be avoided anyhow, so one must not desist from doing his duties. That is a point being mentioned here. So please chant after me. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text number 27. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityo dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. So when we cannot chant, we tone down our volume. That's what happens. Please chant a little loudly. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityor dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. Somebody would like to chant? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. When we chant the shlokas, we should chant like, how to say, clearly and loudly, not like it's like we are eating the words. Then our voice will become more clear. Anyways, let us now read the word meanings. Jatasya, of one who has taken his birth. He, certainly. Dhruvaha, a fact. Mrityuhu, death. Dhruvam, it is also a fact. Janma, birth. Mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasmad, therefore. Apariharye, of that which is unavoidable. Arthe, in the matter. Na, do not. Tvam, you. Shochitum, to lament. Arhasi, deserve. Translation. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. Once again, let us try to understand the shloka by Sanskrit. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur. Please understand, jatasya. Jat means who has taken birth. Jatasya means that person's mrityu or death is dhruva, who has taken birth. Srila Prabhupada elsewhere says very nicely, if you want to confirm this, that anybody who has taken birth is going to die, will you do an experiment? Can you say, well, I see most of the people dying, but there is still a possibility that there is some person does not die? You remember in Bhakti Vriksha we explained this point, just to confirm that, with certainty, if you have to say everybody dies, very simple statement, everybody dies who takes birth, can we ascertain it by experimental evidence? It's very important. No, because there may be some person I have not examined everybody, and neither I can examine everybody. One person may be there in this world who does not die. Then even if one person does not die, then our saying this that everybody who takes birth will die is not right. But on the strength of Bhagavad Gita, we directly accept that anybody who takes birth must die. Clear? Then maybe if he dies, maybe he will not get birth. Then Lord says, no. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. A person who has died, mritasya means who has accepted death, he will surely have birth. Now you can say birth. So will he not become liberated? If a person becomes liberated, then he should not have birth. Agreed. But then he will have another life, is it not, in the spiritual world? Or he will take birth in Swarga. And we know that birth in Swarga is not painful like here. So in any case, there is no reason for lamentation, because a person who has taken birth is a natural sequence that he has to die. Rather, we are dying every moment. We don't have birthdays, we basically have death days. We have died 18 years. We have died 38 years or whatever, 35 years. That you understand? Every moment we are not dying, we are not living, we are dying. Our time duration of human form of life is getting reduced, and people become happy by that, Chalo, mere 38 saal chale gaya. I distribute a cake that I have now lost 38 years of my human form of life or whatever. That is not intelligence. But the Lord is very clearly saying, you must understand that this is unavoidable. Is it clear? Now, tasmad apariharyarthe. There are two understandings of aparihar. Parihar means you can avoid it, and aparihar means you cannot avoid it. So this aparihar word can be linked to the duty of Kshatriya and can be also linked to this principle that everybody who takes birth has to die, and everybody who dies will have to take birth. Are you able to understand my point? This cannot be avoided. Anybody who takes birth will have to die. So basically one should, very interesting, one should think, how will I not take birth? See, death is not the problem. I have to understand. The problem is birth. You see, the Lord starts with jatasya, a person who takes birth. The problem is starting from birth, not from death. We are thinking death is a problem, but actually the problem is birth. Let me see if my devotees are still awake. Are you awake, my dear devotees? Yes. Do you understand? Oh, Anuradha Mataji, finally you have become awake. Sleeping all throughout the japa, not waking up. Huh? I was about to chastise you. We should remember, anyhow, this death and birth, we are going to, what is that? We are anyhow entangled. So we are already doing this tapasya. So we should not become, what is that, fearful of waking up early in the morning chanting Hare Krishna. Okay? You can't avoid this chanting of Hare Krishna. If we avoid chanting Hare Krishna, then we cannot avoid this jatasya. You should always remember this. Then this is already catching like a ghost behind you. So you understand this point, that our main problem is birth. That is very clear. And can somebody answer why we are taking birth? I think it's a very simple answer. What is the answer? Why are we taking birth one after another? Am I speaking in Hindi or English? I am expecting the answer in English. Have you not been taught English? What is the answer?
Because of our previous karma.
Because of our previous karma. And what about this life's karma? We in this life, if we do not perform bhakti, definitely we will have material desires. Oh, I wish I would have been, and then you get served nicely in the plate. This body is like a plate. This whole soup we are in now. I must have been very much attached to my beautiful husband. Is it not? What? Beautiful husband? Prabhuji, what are you talking? Are you having some sense? Or maybe my son was so nice, how can I forget him? And see, now I'm remembering him very nicely in this body. What not? Who knows? Similarly, the Matajis must be very much attached to their wives. Wives! What is this? Or their daughters. This is the only two possibilities. Or maybe you were a cow, who knows? But most probably, it's very simple. We have got this body, so we had this desire to enjoy, so now we are getting this body, so we are going to die now. I must tell you one advantage of not marrying. When you die, you don't worry about anybody. Is it not Gaurgopal Prabhu? Suppose if you die today, I don't want you to die today, but if you die, you don't have any worry about who will maintain my kids, who will maintain my father, anybody. That's a very great advantage. Like many times I have this kind of some disease where I felt like almost like giving up the body. Who cares? Okay, I didn't give the body. Who cares? No, पीछे कोई देखने वाला नहीं है, कोई tension नहीं है. Anyways, that's a small thought. So now you understand. So we have to take care. That's why natvam shochito marhasi. And then other one is apariharyarthi. Now this aparihar we have linked with the upper part of the shloka. Now you link it with the lower part of the shloka. Tasmat apariharyarthe natvam shochito marhasi. In the matter of doing your duty, which cannot be avoided. As a Kshatriya, it's your duty to fight. You cannot avoid that duty. So why are you lamenting? He was lamenting, is it not? They will be killed and all these things. If they will be killed, they will definitely going to get the body. Even if you don't kill them, they're anyhow going to die. Does it make sense? And if they die in a dharma yuddha, in a fighting which is for the dharma, they will be promoted to higher realm. I want to bring to your attention a small point of contradiction. In Bhagavatam it is mentioned that anybody who got killed in Kurukshetra went back home, back to Godhead. And in Mahabharata it is mentioned that they went to heaven. So how do we resolve it? A portion of them went to heaven, a portion of them went back to Godhead. You said Atma cannot be cut. I don't know, but that's how Acharya explains. I don't know. It's not that there was one Atma or something like that. It's very difficult to understand, but it's like this. Don't ask me, this is what I heard from devotees. But as per Bhagavatam, anybody who died there, they went back home, back to Godhead. Hatha, Gata, Sarupam. Clear. Actually, whenever there is some contradiction, you should take the version of Bhagavatam. Also, Swargaya Lokaya, you should remember that heaven, spiritual world is also called Swarga. So that is also not a problem. But so if it is mentioned in Bharat somewhere that people claim that they went to Swarga, then you can understand they also went to spiritual world. Or they went to spiritual world, although it is mentioned Swarga there. So it all depends on what context you're taking. I don't want to confuse you, don't worry. Anyhow, you don't want to go to Swarga, I understand. Please don't worry about it too much. Idea is do your duty, because doing our duty definitely promotes us in a higher level of consciousness. Every chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, our material desires are getting diminished. You should always remember this, even if you don't want to. Even if you don't want to, Hare Cheto Darpana Marjanam, every chanting of Hare Krishna, every hearing of Bhagavad Gita is getting less, less, less and less, and the desire to do bhakti is becoming more. You always remain convinced about this. Okay. Translation we have heard. Now we'll discuss Bhagavad Gita, Gita Bhushan commentary. Who has written Gita Bhushan commentary? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Very nice. After hearing for 1.5 years, he does not even know Baldev Vidya Bhushan. So you can understand how glorious the students are. They forget everything. So that the teacher does not have to think that he has to teach anything new. Prabhuji keep on teaching the same thing. 1 + 1 = 4. Yesterday I think you told 3. No, day before yesterday it was 2. Like this. They don't remember anything. Okay. Instead of Prem Krishna, I should tell you Little Krishna, isn't it? Bhagavatam. We are discussing Bhagavatam, is it not? Yeah. Are you aware which Shastra we are discussing? Anyways, there is no difference between Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So anyhow. The body is redundant and the Atma is eternal. Redundant means useless. Birth is a combination of Atma with previously non-existing senses and body. Very nice line. Can you pick up this line? Very easy to understand. The senses and the body which we have, did it exist before? I'm just talking about the bodies which you have right now. You're not able to understand my question. The bodies and senses which you have now, you, me, personally, individually, were they existing before? That's very clear? Okay. So birth means Atma, for the Atma, this kind of cell or home is created with senses and body, which it accommodates for some time and then leaves. Okay? Yes. Death is the separation of the Atma from that body with its senses. So you are able to very clearly understand death and birth. We have very clearly understood that Atma is Ajar. We are unborn. This is you're very clearly understanding. So now you are saying that the body is born. But you may say that, who takes birth? What is the meaning of Janma? What is the meaning of death? This has to be very clearly understood. So now you see, my body also is just a conglomeration or aggregation or coming together of elements, is it not? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So can you say that earth takes birth? Can you say fire and water takes birth? That you cannot also say. So we cannot exactly say that the body also takes birth. Can we say that body takes birth? Technically, really speaking, no, because it's just simply transformation of elements. Yeah, this will also come in the next shloka that we're not going to discuss today. But we must very clearly understand what is death and birth. So birth means the material and nature will create a body and senses for us, is it not? In the womb of the mother, it is created. This will be a female child, this will be a male child, and the eyes and the hands automatically come up or not? Automatically means by the arrangement of the Lord. The soul is there inside, and the soul is put in that body. He is given that kind of senses. Difficult? No. So birth means the soul is placed in that body. It's like we are now sitting in a room. We were not sitting in the room earlier. Is it not? Is it difficult to understand? So neither the body dies because anyhow it's dead, neither body is born because it is just material elements coming together. You cannot say it is born, so to speak. We cannot say the sofa is born. We cannot say this table is born. They are created, but you cannot say that born. Are you able to understand this point? Why I am emphasizing this point? Because now you take a contrast with our birth and death, with Lord's birth and going back to his abode. When Lord takes birth, does he accept a senses and body which were not existing? His senses and his very form is ever existing. He just presents that form before us. He does not take birth. Clear? He doesn't. Not only that, he does not take birth as per karma. All things are clear. And when he goes back to his abode, does he leave his body? No. He just goes back home. But before that, I go further. I would like to elaborate this point. In 11th canto is mentioned. The Lord, just to bewilder the atheistic people, left an external body, which was his Vishwarup form. The Vishwarup form is considered to be the material form of the Lord. Like imagining the universe, the whole universe is the body of the Lord. Universe is different from the Lord. The Lord is Sachidananda, spiritual, but the universe is material. So the Lord, just to make an illusion for atheistic people who want to accept that Krishna is a normal person, he left his body. Not left his body, left his external form, so to speak. You should please read at 30th chapter, 11th canto. But exactly as described, a plane from Vaikuntha came, the Lord boarded the plane, and then he went back to Godhead. He did not give up his body, he just made an illusion. Just like I have seen here in Krishna Hall, there was a devotee magician, and he had one girl, and he put a cap on the head of a girl, and then he put some petrol and then burned it. Ooh! But the girl is dancing. so if your head is burning, really, like flames are coming, can you dance? Can you? Maybe you can dance, but not smile, is it not? But she's dancing and smiling. So now, is it not? Is it very contradictory? So Acharya gives the example, if a normal magician can cut the head of somebody and then again put it back. So what is the difficulty if the Lord does some jugglery like this? Very easy for him, is it not? So in order to, the magician is doing his magic for a purpose, not without purpose, because people want to be illusioned, they want to see some magic. So because the atheistic people want to be convinced that Krishna actually died, and you can see in YouTube people make these videos. Krishna kaise mare? How did Krishna die? So all these foolish things they actually speak because the Lord makes an arrangement for them to understand like this. Make sense? Okay. But so why I'm speaking this? Just like we have death and birth, the Lord does not have death and birth. It's very important to understand. And that's why it's called Divya. It's all transcendental. Because birth and death both arise from performance of dharma and adharma, birth and death primarily belong to a substratum, the shelter of dharma and adharma, which must be eternal. What does all these things mean? Because birth and death both arise from performance of dharma and adharma. If a person performs dharma, pious activities, his duties, he gets a better birth, is it not? We are seeing in this world that people are actually being born very intelligent, very beautiful, very wealthy, and then there are also people who, for no apparent reason, are very ugly or they're unintelligent and poor also, is it not? It's all because of dharma and adharma. That's what it's saying. So birth and death primarily belong to a substratum. What is the meaning of substratum? It means an underlying factor. The shelter of dharma and adharma, which must be eternal. So this eternal concept is the Atma. Atma is the shelter of dharma and adharma. Atma is performing dharma and adharma. It's not through the body it is performing, but the desire to perform dharma and adharma is arising from the Atma. By hearing scriptures, he knows dharma, performs dharma. If he by not hearing scriptures or neglecting the scriptures, he performs adharma, then he gets different kind of bodies. So body is inconsequential. Yes. Birth and death belonged secondarily to the body. Secondary to the body means main definition of birth is that birth is meeting of soul with the body, and death is separation of soul from the body. Main definition is that. Secondarily means in local, in a general way, you can say that the body has died, but body was always dead.
Yes.
Make sense? Body is always dead. If the soul were not eternal, lasting only one lifetime, it could not be accepted as the substratum of dharma and adharma, because then it could have no acquisition of results to actions previously performed, and simultaneously it would acquire effects not caused by actions previously performed. समझ में आ रहा है बात? See, if there was no eternal soul, so then how will you explain the same point? A person is intelligent. Another person, maybe it's the same brother, is not intelligent. So that means this soul must have done, the intelligent fellow must have done some piety in previous life. That's why he is intelligent.
Yes.
Then you can understand this point. And in his previous life, the other person did not do pious activities or whatever dharma, so now he is not intelligent. Acha, if we do not accept this part is clear. Now, if we do not accept that soul is eternal, then how will you explain that this fellow is intelligent and this fellow is not intelligent? On what grounds there is a disparity in their difference, there is a disparity in their statuses of life? The second part. It would acquire effects not caused by actions previously performed. For example, one brother is intelligent. He later on becomes very wealthy also. Other brother is not intelligent and he becomes a laborer. So now will it not pose a question on the Supreme Lord as being prejudiced? Prejudice matlab purvagrahi. He is making distinctions without any logic. One person is making intelligent, another person is fool. So if you do not accept soul, that means no previous dharma or adharma, then how will you explain that there is difference? There is so much difference of consciousness, difference of facilities availed to various conditioned soul in this world. Are you able to understand this concept? I was just joking with my sister. She is very good in management. I said, if you would have been a boy, I would have been serving under you. You should have become a devotee. Both of us would have become brahmachari. You would have become temple president or vice president. I would have served under you. Like that. Now she was laughing. No. Anyhow, she's intelligent also, but her intelligence goes in business. So her intelligence goes in business, and my intelligence does not go in business at all. I mean, maybe I'm doing some business as a matter of duty, but not like I'm thinking how to get money, It doesn't work like that. So everybody is different. Do you think everybody is intelligent? Sorry, everybody is different here? All of you? Who is the most intelligent person? Raise hands. Correct. Yeah, Prabhuji, you don't have to raise hands. I mean, we can raise hands higher than you, but for this class, we let you go. Okay. But we have different levels of intelligence, is it not? Even you will see, by executing bhakti, our intelligence becomes so much sharp. Actually, it is a fact I'm seeing. The intelligence level is not the same as when you don't do bhakti. Your thoughtfulness, your awareness immediately becomes much more higher than people who don't control their senses. I'll repeat this point. If you control your senses, if we control our senses, the capacity to think becomes so much more enhanced. That's why the rishis had very controlled life. And if we enjoy sense gratification, I mean, obviously there's something we have to do, like we have to eat and sleep like that. But to the degree we enjoy sense gratification, to that degree, even if we have material intelligence, the capacity to understand spiritual subject matters just vanishes. Now all you devotees are able to understand these things very simply. Is it not very simple to understand? But it's not that if you explain the same thing to any new person, he will understand. He may be very good in his studies. Material studies, but does not mean that he understands Krishna consciousness knowledge also. There is a different kind of intelligence in this. I think you can appreciate what I'm trying to say. So controlling sense is very, very important. But the point what we have mentioned here, we're discussing here, that the Atma is the underlying factor. The soul is the underlying factor which does dharma or adharma, and then it gets different bodies. Yes? This is the view of the logicians, followers of Gautam's Nyaya philosophy. Okay? Even in their view, one should give up lamenting for the Atma. He in this verse indicates cause. For the eternal element, the Atma, which attains birth, jatasya, by accepting a body under the law of karma, death is certain with the destruction of those karmas. After death, birth is certain, caused by the karmas of the previous body. This is impossible to avoid. So now you see, aparihare word is linked with taking birth and dying. Then why do you worry about it? Anyhow you're going to die. So you should do your duty. For this reason, Arthe, because Atma has the very nature of birth and death, you being learned should not lament. Even if you decline to fight, these people will die with the exhaustion of their present karmas. But you will be deviated from your duty of fighting. So like this, so in this concept, as per their understanding of these people, karma is causing people to take birth and going to die. Then it, as per their understanding, it just cannot be stopped. You will take birth and die. As per their understanding, that soul has a very nature of taking birth and dying because of karma. So why ho hi raha hai, just happening only anyway. So why do you worry about it? That's a point. But our understanding of the shloka is that the soul is taking birth because of his previous karma, and is going to die when the karmas are exhausted. This is not wrong. प्रारब्ध कर्म जब तक होता है, उसी समय तक हमारा शरीर रहता है. Till the time we have प्रारब्ध karma, we remain in this body. No problem. But we can also be liberated when we offer our actions to Krishna. So it's not that that death is inevitable. I mean to say, sorry, birth is inevitable. Death is inevitable. But we understand that birth is not inevitable. नहीं समझ रहे हैं? You can avoid birth by becoming a pure devotee of Krishna, by going back to Krishna. For as these people's logic is that anyhow you don't lament because anyhow you remain in the cycle always. But as per our understanding of Bhagavad Gita, it means if you serve Krishna, manmana bhav mad bhakto ityadi, then by Krishna's grace we become liberated and go back to Godhead. So an intelligent person and a devotee must get frustrated with, frustrated means, what is the point? Every time I take birth, then I do something, and then some nonsense or something not related with Krishna. Then again die, and then again take birth, and again take birth, and again die. What is this? How long I would like to be in this thing? I'm telling you again and again, this life is not a romantic movie, which our Maya is constantly convincing us that you can have some romance in this world. But there is no romance, there is only horror. It's actually horrifying, is it not? You have to leave your body, with which we are very much attached to. Even when we are old, we are attached. One old lady, she was constantly saying, "Arey, main marna chahti hu. I want to die, I want to die." And Hazrat Radha Govind Maharaj said, "Okay, so why don't you hold two wires which have current and die?" "I will not die like this. I will not die like this." So even when we are old and the body is completely deprecating, still we don't want to die. Same thing was happening with Dhritarashtra. He was being fed by Bhima like a dog. And these are the exact words used by Vidurji. That you are being fed like a dog by Bhima, who killed all your 100 sons. Don't you feel ashamed? And like the strong words he spoke, then Dhritarashtra left to the jungle like that. That's a thing we have to understand. This is very, and then he became liberated too. So okay. Purport. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life. Very nice statement. You see, we have to take birth as per activities of our life. Now my question is, what determines our activities in this life? Can you answer? Shastra. Okay, this is one answer. This is a good answer. It's not wrong. What else you think? What determines the activities of our life? Our desires. Okay. This is the main point. What sankalpas or desires arise in our heart. Now what determines our desires? Okay. Impressions are basically yes. Very good. And what determines our sanskars or impressions in this life? Don't talk about previous life, in this life. One very simple word which starts with A. Association. Association is only by association that we get desires. If you forget about previous lives, just in this life, any good habit or any good desire or any bad desire is only achieved by association. No mother will say, when the child is born, I should give him a cigarette. Is it not? It's not that if the child cannot drink or eat grains, at least he can smoke some cigarettes. Is it not? It doesn't work like that. No. Even the mother herself may be smoking, for example. Still, she won't give the child a cigarette. No. So that all is achieved by association. So a devotee should always be conscious. By Lord's mercy, we have got this wonderful association of devotees, by which at least now we have a desire to serve Krishna. We want to chant Hare Krishna, we want to hear Bhagavad Gita. This should be valued. And asat varta veshya swapacha saramani ye hridi. I'm forgetting the last word. Shri Raghunath Das Goswami say, asad varta veshya. Mundane material talks are like a prostitute. Why he's comparing it to a prostitute? And he says, yadi hriday vartate. If it enters your ears and goes into your heart, mundane material talks, then it will steal the propensity to serve Krishna. So dangerous. The prostitute will take some Lakshmi from us. No, you will give some enjoyment, very cheap enjoyment, but will take very large Lakshmi from us. Is it not? Similarly, when we want to talk of material, mundane things about sense enjoyment, or associate with those who want to talk about sense enjoyment, you will see the desire for doing bhakti immediately goes down. Immediately. You watch a movie, finished. You see next day your desire to chant japa finished. You don't want to chant japa. You can't sit in the class. You play a video game. Sometimes devotees have some disinclination to play video game. So you play a video game with people who are inclined for video game, then you say, "Arey, japa kaun karega? Who will care about japa? Arey Baba, you have to take birth. Anyways, I will take birth again and play a video game again. I don't care about it." But this is how it is there. And this is a very heavy point. We don't realize how much the sound vibration affects our consciousness. Immediately, if I curse any of you now, immediately you will feel bad, is it not? It's not after 2 months or 3 months. I'm again repeating, if I curse any, I will not curse, don't worry. I'm just saying, if I curse any one of you or gali de do turant aapko bad words, immediately it will have effect in your consciousness. So powerful hearing is. If I give you anything else, it will take some time, but hearing is immediately affecting our consciousness. So that's what I'm emphasizing this point. Activities based on desires is based on our activities based on our impressions, sanskars, and sanskars are all created by associations, or desires are created by association. And after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. So it's a beautiful photo here. Beautiful, I'm saying in a sense like a nice horror movie, as they mentioned. I don't know whether you have studied this photo very nicely. You see there is a cycle of birth and death. So it's a nice photo. You see how the man is dying, becoming old, and then it is being killed by death. And again, a white lady is there. She shows birth. And again, a birth is there, and again we take birth. We grow up. Not grow up, but basically change of bodies. And there's also a sequence of animals being shown here. What is the significance? Can you see? Kind of evolution of species from the soul is transmigrating from lower form to higher form, and finally it gets human form. But have you seen? It goes further to show some more animals. That means one should not think that after becoming a human being, he will remain a human being. If he does not behave properly, he might become an animal. Srila Prabhupada's words are there. It is quite amazing that person may wake up tomorrow morning and see himself to be a dog. Can you get this statement? A person may wake up tomorrow morning and see me. I mean, obviously, there will be some time because he still has to stay within the womb of the doggy. Doggy? What is it? She-dog. We are laughing, but that's actually very heavy, is it not? So, my dear devotees, do not, please, you may feed the dog outside, but do not have dogs in your home. Do not become attached to dog. Be attached to God. Very, very careful. My maths teacher who taught me maths for IIT examination, he was very much attached to dog. I hope he does not become a whatever dog or something like that in this next life. So, like this. Okay. So we have to be very careful about it. This, again, yesterday did we not discuss? This whole life is just like a flash. And then it will be gone. And we are on a journey. And be very happy. Actually, we have been saved. Actually. Because Sakradattam. Katham eva. Anyhow, somebody who has chanted Hare Krishna, Krishna will surely liberate him. Now, we may purposefully delay the process by our own intelligent moves to avoid it, but if actually listen to Krishna and behave as he tells us to behave, then very nicely we will go forward. Before we go forward, I want to say this point of impression comes. We have impressions from our activities from previous life. There is no doubt about it. And by default, we will behave as per our previous impressions. They will be aroused by the Lord. जैसे पहले करते हैं वैसे करते आए. But only when we hear Bhagavad Gita and have association of devotees, two things. Then we can, by Bhagavad Gita, we will know what is good, and by association of devotees, we will having the strength to do what is good. We may know what is good, but the previous impressions may overwhelm us to not hear Shastra. Doesn't make sense. So now, in the association of devotees, we get the strength to act as per Shastra. So why I am saying all those things? The most important thing in our life is thinking. What is the value of this action which I am going to do now? Just like now, after 10-15 minutes, we are going to have prasadam. We are not going to eat in a joint outside. Right? Somebody is eating joint, we don't go outside. No matter how much flashy it is, we know behind there is bondage. And behind prasadam is liberation. Does it make sense? Seeing behind the scenes. We should all develop this acumen. We should all develop this vision of seeing behind the scene. Action is being performed, to see behind the scene whether it is liberating or bonding. Does it make sense? I was reflecting, maybe I'll tell it tomorrow. People say, हम नियम में बंधना नहीं चाहते हैं. We don't want to be bound in rules. But then you ask him, do you have any option to be not bound by the rule of birth and death? Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu. So there you are very happily bound. हम नियम में बंधना नहीं चाहते हैं, लेकिन मरते जन्म मृत्यु के चक्र में बंधने में हमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं. बंधन है ना? We have this bondage, is it not? It's a serious matter. It's not simply a matter of no, death is there, yeah. No, it's really serious matter. We are going to die and we have to take birth again. And Prabhupada gives such a nice, प्रस्ताव को क्या बोलेंगे इंग्लिश में? Proposal. Very nice proposal. Very easy proposal. Chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, and you go back to Godhead in this life. This cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. This is very easy to understand because one should not commit violence to anybody. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. This is also understood because there will be some nice people who would like to kill people around. So they need to be killed, and we have learned this. When a king is punishing a person who is doing bad activities, he is not to be punished by Yamaraj. He is doing his dharma. Does it make sense? So violence, unnecessary murder is not needed, but necessary violence is needed. Does it make sense? Yes. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. You see, Srila Prabhupada, inevitable is explaining the word aparihar. Aparihar or inevitable, ek hi baat hai. You cannot avoid it. You see, you know this whole history that the kingdom belonged to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And they were unnecessarily fighting with Yudhishthira Maharaj, even to the effect that they were ready to be satisfied with 5 villages, is it not? But he did not want to give anything. He said, without war, I will not give a land which is equal to the tip of a needle. Then he spoke like this to Krishna. How audacious he must be to speak like this before Krishna. Then Krishna said, okay, then we'll take everything back. Now you don't want to give a tip of needle, we'll take everything back from you. Like this. Why should, so that was a duty, because you used to remember that Arjuna being a Kshatriya and all the Pandavas being Kshatriya, it was very bad for them to beg. They could not beg. It is not possible. You know that. We have discussed in Bhagavad Gita, for begging is worse than death for a Kshatriya. So he cannot, he is ready to die, but he is not going to beg. You know that pastime also when Duryodhan was approached by Arjuna during the war, and he said, during the war means in the evening time, and Duryodhana, remembering his boon to Arjuna, said, what do you want? Do you want the kingdom? Arjuna said, no, we don't want the kingdom. I don't want to beg from you a kingdom. We're going to fight and get the kingdom. Like this he says. I just want those 5 arrows which Bhishma Pitama has kept to kill all 5 of us, like this. So like this. So you see, they were not, Kshatriya cannot beg like this. Like your brother is telling, Arey hum dusre ki naukri kyun karenge? They are from a Kshatriya background, so they say, why should I serve under somebody? Kshatriya cannot serve under somebody, and Kshatriya should not beg also. So then that's why, so it was imperative for them to have a kingdom. So then they had to fight. Why should Arjuna be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? This is very clear. When you are doing proper duty, you should never feel morose. Anybody, any daughter or son who is executing Krishna consciousness, you are doing the best thing for yourself and best thing for your family. Even if the family does not appreciate. All throughout the life of Prahlad Maharaj, did Hiranyakashipu even once said, "Bahut acha kar rahe ho beta, jab kar rahe ho." He never said that, my dear child, you're chanting Hare Krishna very nicely. Never ever. But still Lord Vishnu delivered Hiranyakashipu, is it not? So be convinced about this. No matter if your parents are saying, hey, tu pagli ho gayi hai, pagal ho gaya hai, you are getting mad, you are doing too much bhakti, you are chanting 16 rounds and all those things. Be convinced they are mad, but we are doing the best thing for them. I am convinced with my own life with this. He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subject to the reactions of sinful acts, of which he was afraid. Are you able to? This is very easy to understand. He was thinking that I'm going to kill my superiors, by which I'm going to get sin, I should not fight. But there was no sin in it because he was acting as per dharma. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. Beautiful point. This is amazing. It may look not very amazing to you, but for me it looks very amazing. If he did not fight, will his relatives not going to die? Are his relatives not going to die? So similarly, apply to yourself. If you chant Hare Krishna or don't chant Hare Krishna, are your relatives, your father, mother going to die or not going to die? Sometimes, I'll put it in Hindi, it is more tasty in Hindi. Sometimes the parents say, Beta, तूने अगर भजन किया तो तू मेरा मरता मुंह देखेगा. If you, it's like that. If you do bhajan, if you chant Hare Krishna, associate with devotees, you will see my dead face. Then you said, anyhow I'm going to see you dead, isn't it? What do I worry about it? They are not our first father and mother, is it not? Sometimes we think like this. So if, I don't know if your parents are like this, but if your parents are like this, then yes, I will not chant Hare Krishna in front of you. In front of you, you should say small. I will not chant Hare Krishna in front of you. But in front of our Prabhuji, we'll definitely going to chant. Why will we not chant? He is a real well-wisher. That's what Prabhupada said, ever well-wisher. So what we learn from this, anyhow everybody is going to die. Anybody who has taken birth is going to die. Now, so this cannot be avoided. So in our discharge of a duty, a dharma, we should not lament. We should not say, aisa kaise ho jayega, waise kaise ho jayega. We should not do this, we should not do this. Okay, how do we cope with the external atmosphere? Do not cope. Join ashram. You are not married, Alok. Please come and join. Oh, what will happen? I must tell you, I did not want to tell these personal things, but when I was about to join, I had decided to join. In Lucknow, I went there to inform my parents. And I came in the morning, and then I told my sister. Actually, I did not tell her. She was taking a rest or something. I said, okay, you have come, fine. Okay. And afterwards, my mother also came. Then I told her, and everybody was crying. Oh, I already reserved my train ticket to Vrindavan. And then, so my sister was crying, and she did not curse anything. And my mother was saying, maybe you die in an accident while chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, she was a devotee, so her curse was also like a devotee curse, I said, fine, I have no problem. And father was cool. You will be amazed. Father said, anyhow in the morning somebody told me that your son is going to leave home. He did not know also that I was in the home. Something mystical happened. Somebody told him that in his son is going to. But now you see, my father was cremated in Vrindavan. My granny, I've told before also, my granny left her body here. Next is my mother, if she leaves the body before me. And now my sister wants to stay in Vrindavan. And I think, I don't know which teacher has taught the daughter also, Juhi Mataji or Richa Mataji, I don't know. But her daughter also says, even if my uncle means me, will want to drive me out of Vrindavan, I will not go out of Vrindavan, I will stay here only. So the whole family wants to stay here. And just imagine, just like Krishna was rolling in the dust of Vrindavan, these kids now are rolling from in the dust of Vrindavan, is it not? How fortunate they are. So even if I had accepted all those curses, which actually were not effective, I did not have any Krishna, I did not have any accident, I did not die yet, all those things. And now my sister and mother are so much affectionate to me. Every time she comes, says, hey, bhaiya, would you like to eat this? Would you like to eat this? I would like to cook for you. Same sister who was, what is that? So much crying, and then my mother was, cursing and all those things. So I'm just saying that in my own life, I'm seeing that how much Krishna is merciful to my parents, to my relatives. So there is nothing wrong we are doing when you chant Hare Krishna. Does it make sense? So, and maybe I'll just check some other questions are there. So do not cope with this. Just give up the external atmosphere, Babaji. Who will give me roti? I will give you roti and rice and idlis and sambar and everything. Don't worry about it. We have very nice prasadam. I am surprised. One of the devotees from Noida. There are 5 brothers. Is it not? Ashok has 5 brothers, and still his father does not want to give even one son to Krishna. अरे 50% charity देना चाहिए ना. अगर 5 हैं, if there are 5 sons, they should give at least 2 or 2.5. He does not even do 20% also. 20% भी नहीं देना चाहिए. So we should not ask like that. We are so happy practicing Krishna consciousness without any anxiety. Any other questions? You have any questions? Okay, so nothing. I checked last time. Okay, so we don't have any questions. So we'll now check what is there for prasadam in our Krishna hall. That's why we have shifted it to office so that we don't delay in this sadhana for 10-15 minutes. I hope the sound was clear to all the devotees. And Anuradha Mataji, don't eat unless you complete the 16 rounds. The food is inevitable. Huh? No, sorry, no. Food is not inevitable. Japa is inevitable. Japa cannot be avoided. If you wake up late, then take prasadam late, but chant Hare Krishna. We should always, I give this advice, you should always think, if I wake up late, anyhow I don't have taste for chanting. If I wake up late, I will not have association of devotees also. Then it will become more difficult for chanting. So you should wake up early so that at least I can complete my rounds in the morning. No problem, I had to chastise you, so anyhow, so it's my duty. Please, Hare Krishna.